I'm 1,000 pieces, still standing tall, a voice in the chaos. I've lived it all. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, a friend in the night, holding a broken, still holding the light. Shells in my pocket, dreams in my hands, building something they don't understand. The crafter of hope from shattered days, finding my strength in a million ways. They don't see the tears fall down in the shower, they don't know the pain behind the power. They only see me when I'm shining bright, not the battles I fight every night. But still I rise through the fire they made, through the hate, through the words they threw in my face. I'm still here, I'm still strong, this is where I belong. Mommy ramblings in my name, I built this boy through the pain. Every rebel that stayed by my side, you're the reason I survive. Still I rise, still I stand, with a broken heart and steady hand. They try to tear me down piece by piece, like I don't deserve a moment of peace. Was it just cause I didn't fit the mold, so they threw their stones and turned so cold? There are things I'll never say out loud, the kind of pain I don't need a crowd, but I carry it deep where the silence lives, and still find a way to give and give. And I smile when I go live like I'm okay, but they don't see the price I'll pay. I'm missing you with every breath I take, my sweet boy, my heart's still brave. But still I rose for the fire they made, through the hate, through the words they threw in my face. I'm still here, I'm still strong, this is where I belong. Mommy ramblings, this is me, every left still chasing dreams, every rebel that never walked away. You're the light that got me through the grave. Still I rise, still out there, with your memory in my head. God, you carried me when I was weak, when I couldn't stand, you lifted me more times than I could ever say. You made a way, you made a way. And I've got dreams that won't let go, a foundation built, some love I know. For my son, for the words he played, I'll turn my loss into something that remains. Yeah, I rise, now I'm stronger than before. Every scar just opened up a door. I'm still here, hear me now. I won't break, I won't bow. Mommy rambling, loud and clear. This is my voice, this is my ear. Every rebel, every heart, you've been with me from the start. Still I rise, still I fight, turning darkness into light.
I'm still your mom, and I'll build something beautiful from all this pain.
I never thought this journey would look like this, but I am grateful for the ones who as you stay. My name is Caroline, and this channel was built on something stronger than hate. It was built on truth, courage, and family. They try to shake the ground I stand on, try to drown me in the noise, but every lie just made me louder. Every storm just found my voice. Some of you came here for answers. Some of you came just to see. And somewhere in the middle of it, you became family. And every night the day goes right, and every night the circle grows. Head goes right, more hearts than they will ever know. Welcome to Mommy Ramblings tonight, where truth stands strong and hearts unite. Bring your story, bring your light. Right here we rise and fight. No more silence, no more fear. Every voice is welcome here. This is more than what it seems. It's family, it's hope, it's Mommy Ramblings. They try to tear this place apart, but they underestimate it hard. Because when one voice stands up tall, 1,000 more will answer the call. Welcome to Mommy Ramblings tonight, where courage burns and hope ignites. Bring your story, bring your light. Right here we rise and fight. Through every storm and every flame, I'll still remember every name. This is more than what it seems. It's family, it's hope, it's Mommy
Hello. Okay, let me make sure that my mic is working, because that's always fun to find out if it's working. Shoot. Oh, I thought my live wasn't running. That was weird. Okay. Let me make sure the sound is working.
Hello.
There we go. Gosh. Hi, Jen. Hi, Linda. I'm not in Top Chat. I'm in... Okay, and what is this? New... I don't need to learn more about that. There we go. So, okay, so we're going to do some more on the Taylor Parker case. I have a phone call with her mom. And let me see. That was from November 25th of 2020. And she's going to talk about things to her mother, but also that she thinks the judge is doesn't like her very much, and wants to stick it to her. Is it what she wants? I know there's also another call, and I have it. It's about the mother telling her, this is. She kind of does this like one thing that she did, just one thing that you did. Really, one thing. Okay. So let's get into this. I think everybody here, hi Chrissy, knows about the Taylor Parker case. Just in case you've been under a rock, she's the woman from Texas who cut a baby out of a friend of hers, someone that she photographed their wedding, Reagan Hancock. And why is my camera not on? I don't know why. I swam for like, oh gosh, Linda, I didn't get back. I left then and I didn't get home till 8 o'clock. I swam that whole time. And right when I got out then and got in the house, it started to pour. I swam the entire time. I think it was 2 hours. I think it was about 6 o'clock when I went in, maybe 5:30. It might even be 2.5 hours. The water was great. And so that was good. But anyway, we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about some of the stuff that happened at trial. Now, yesterday we talked about a lot of her jail offenses that were brought up at trial. We're going to go into that a little further about things that happened. So, and I brought my contact lens solution down here just in case I have to go and wash my contact lens out. It's driving me absolutely insane in the one eye, was this eye. So if I blink a lot or something and I have to like can't see, then I brought the solution down. I'm gonna rinse it out real quick. So, but I think we'll be okay. All right, I am going to put on her jail call first. Let me see. Don't tell me I'm getting tired already. Okay, let's see. What is this one? Jail call. What is that? I don't know what that is. Oh. Let's put this up here. Just because, so we know if anybody's coming in, they're like, what are you listening to? They know we're listening to the jail call with her mom. Right? What is going on here? I don't know what is going on here. Okay. There we go. Sorry, that's all discombobulated there. Okay. Now we're good.
Hello, this is a prepaid collect. Charges for your call have been accepted.
I was thinking about what you told me yesterday. Is there a way that you could put it in a letter?
I thought about that, but then, no, because it would, regardless, I think the reason that they were wanting me to say it now is because tomorrow's Thanksgiving, so everything's shut down, and that gives you 2 prominent days, because everybody is pretty much gone the rest of the week. So nobody will be back until Monday.
I know, but the calls are recorded. They can listen to them anytime they want to.
Yeah, but I was specifically told nobody would be back until Monday.
Not to what?
I was told nobody would be back until Monday.
Yeah, but,
Well, if I write it in a letter, I would only
Take a letter, Maria.
hope that who I give it to could just stick it in,
well,
you know what I'm trying to say?
yeah, but I don't know. What would it benefit me knowing?
Well, to me, it was a lot of answered prayers. That's for sure.
Well, can you So tell me what you can. Tell me what you want to, then, I guess.
Well, pretty much, I was shackled, I can tell you that. And when I was sitting in the office with them, they told me to not ask any questions because they couldn't answer any of my questions. They said that it was their job to not listen to the newspapers or social media or things of that nature because they feel that the opinions are what get to people. And then they said that they can't be bought, nor can they be persuaded. And they said with that in mind, they said when I arrived on the 14th, I actually arrived late. I was supposed to be here earlier on the 14th. But apparently court in New Boston got behind, so that's why I got here so late. So remember me calling you really late that night?
Yeah.
I guess
we were
y'all
already, we were already in, because remember we had gone to Oklahoma to see you. I had made arrangements with that investigator to see you there, and the Texas Rangers got to you before we could get to you.
Okay, well, then, that kind of makes sense because the individual told me that they were trying to get to me early that day because arrangements had been made, but they had thought that they were too late because they got to me late. Well, I was supposed to go to court here because a specific judge by the name of had arrangements made with the DA that I was to be placed under a no bond. Well, because I got here late, I wasn't able to go to court on the 14th. So on the 15th, I was the 21st docket. And apparently some individuals had tried to arrange for me to be placed as a no bond. Well, couldn't go to court on the 15th. It was a different judge. That judge made arrangements for Jefferson to come get me out of my cell, put me as the first docket. She went over everything with me, and they placed me on a bond. They gave me a bond, just like any other inmate. And so then they put me back in my cell. Well, of course, when the DA and them caught word that I had been placed on a bond, they had called and made arrangements with the bondsmen and stuff in Bowie County, I guess, to not, aid in helping me get released or anything of that nature. And then they were like, so do you understand that? And I said, yes, I understand. And the individual said bondsmen are throughout the state of Texas. There are also bondsmen in Arkansas that can aid people in Texas. You can use any bondsman throughout the state. You can use one in El Paso if they were to deal with you. Do you understand that? And I said, yes. And then they said, okay, with you understanding that, they asked me, they said, have you ever played Monopoly? And, of course, Mom, I was in chains, and you know how you notice somebody and you know them, but you don't know them? Does that make sense? Like, how you're kind of like, I know this person. Why can I not think of who they are? Okay, that's who this person was. And, of course, they're asking me these questions, and then they've already told me that I can't ask questions, so, things weren't making any sense to me. But anyways, they asked me if I've ever played the game Monopoly. I said yes. And they flopped a notepad and a pen down, and they said, when I say key note, you jot this down. So this is the piece of paper that I have. They said key note. you put up money or items, but in reality, you really aren't. These things can merely be seen as collateral. And she said, do you understand? And I said, yes. And they said collateral as in deeds. Deeds as in like land, ownership of items, titles of things you may have. It really doesn't matter to a bondsman. And then they said keynote. They just have to know things have unbeknown, which I didn't know how to spell. I just spelled it UNDUNKNOWN, value, or so they are told it does. And so I wrote that down, and the individual in front of me said, that way you're not having to spend substantial amounts of cash. And so I wrote that down. And they were like, do you understand that? And I said, yes. And they were like, when you contact a bondsman, they said this is key. And so I wrote this down. They said, tell each bondsman a prominent, and they did quotation with their fingers, a prominent individual made a list of bondsmen to contact, and they, as in the bondsman you're contacting, in quotation with their fingers, were at the top of the list. You were told if they couldn't help you, they could put a favor in with someone who possibly could. And the individual told me that the prominent, all of these key factors, Kathy and Shauna would be able to work this out. They used you and Grandma's name. And they used Grandma's name first. Kathy and Shauna would know to work, what all of this could work out, what all of this meant. But anyways, listen, then the individual was like, so you have all that written down? I said, yes. And they said, I'm going to go over your bond out requirements. And I said, okay. And they told me to write them down, and which I did. They said, weekly parole visits. You will be required on a specific day and time to report in weekly. So I wrote that down. I'm required to wear a GPS satellite location tracking collar on my ankle. I'm prohibited to the consumption of drugs or alcohol, which there is testing weekly at the parole visit. I'm not allowed to leave the state of Texas. And then depending on if my parole visits are in because my state is Arkansas and Texas, the individual said that it may be Texas or Arkansas that, I can't leave. And I'm prohibited to go within 100 yards of a public school. And the individual said, do you understand what your bond out requirements are? And I went to say something, they were like, it's a yes or no question, do you understand what your bond out requirements are? And I said, yes. And they said, okay, your final bond out requirement is when you are told your date and time to report to court, do you understand that you are to report to court at that date and time? And I said, absolutely, I understand that. And they were like, okay, now we're returning to our monopoly. That stuff will be returned to you as long as you follow your bond out requirements and your bond out requirement and the additional requirement that I read to you. Does that make sense?
So did they give you the bond person?
Do what?
Did they give you any names of the bond people?
They gave me one to start with. They said, start with this one. A Stephen in Batesville, Arkansas.
Okay, I don't have anything to write with out here, so you're going to have to give me that tomorrow.
Okay, this is what's even weirder, Mom. Okay, so they said to start with this guy. And also, when we got done, the individual said, surprisingly, me being in the position I am, my own child was was, I guess, received a capital murder charge because she was addicted to dope and accidentally killed 3 children in a wreck. And she was like, she said, I've been through this. You would have not been given the bond if we literally thought you were just a bad person. We just want you to know that.
Oh my gosh.
And I just said, thank you. And she said, and they said, that's it, you can leave. And they stood me up and I was walking out and the individual said, Miss Parker, and I turned around and they said, tell Charlotte and Mark they're welcome. I wasn't able to help them with Blaze, but I hope that this helps Kathy, Shauna, and them both. So,
I don't, so this individual's daughter had an accident that killed 3 girls?
yeah, that killed, I guess, 3 kids on the state highway a long time ago. And I guess she received a capital murder charge. But the individual was telling me that she gave me like in which I didn't understand any of it. She gave me an example when she was going over the monopoly deal. She said, for instance, a deed. She was like, a 40-acre deed, can be worth, she said like $30,000. She said we had to, she said they got her and her mother got just a piece of paper, and what they did is they put together everything that was on that piece of property to show what the value was to be, this substantial amount of money. I can't remember what exactly she said. And then they got it, they took it to their bank friend and got it, they got it,
Right.
well, no, not appraised. No, not appraised. They got it where, kind of like you go to the courthouse and somebody, notarized. They got it notarized, and that's what they turned in with their deed. And pretty much that's what they put up. I guess when they got her, as in their monopoly. I don't know. The way that I was understanding it is they put it up as like collateral, and as long as when they let her daughter, I guess they let the individual's daughter out, and she did get to come out. I think the lady said she got like 4 or 5 months out. But when they, told her to go to court, she was out during the court stuff, and then she got her sentence and, of course, went away for once they sentenced her. But she did get 4 or 5 months out, but they gave her back those whatever. Her collateral, her monopoly, what they call monopoly money. They gave that back to her because they followed
This is a joke.
Whatever.
They
followed her requirements, and she showed up and all of that. So, I mean, I didn't know if that's what she meant by asking me if I understood them, if, it was something that I could do. I thought I was going to be released right then the way that she was acting, but
Nice.
that wasn't the case.
No, that
So,
wasn't the case.
Yeah. So,
But I
this
guess you need to...
individual- I guess I'll contact Charlotte. Obviously, this individual knows her and tried to help her with Blaze.
Yeah, because that was the last thing she said. Tell Charlotte and Mark they're welcome. I was unable to help with Blaze. So hopefully this helps Kathy, Shauna, and them both, was the last words that this individual said to me. I'll call y'all tomorrow, Mom. That way you can get this person's number, because she did, the individual said that, you got a time frame, so.
Do you have her number?
Oh boy.
Who?
You said so I have time What did you say? You'll talk to me tomorrow so I can get her number?
I'll give you, so I can give you that guy's name and stuff of where to start. That's where she said to start and all this other stuff. That way,
Okay, okay.
but she said she talked to, she spoke with somebody from y'all's side of the family that she knows. So, I mean, I don't.
This call will be terminated in 1 minute.
Contacted.
The individual was very blunt with me, so
Very
I mean, I
blunt.
didn't get details.
She didn't get details.
Okay. Well, nobody's contacted my side of the family.
Well,
I mean,
that you know, I mean,
but
that you know of, I guess.
I mean, I'm in contact with everybody, and nobody has said anything about that. So anyway, you got 30 seconds, love.
All right.
We eat tomorrow at noon, so if you want to call.
I'll try.
Or,
I love y'all.
all right, love you too.
All right,
Bye-bye.
I'll
love you.
try. Love you. She just, she's not so much like, which was the, Sharilla or Jamie Komorowski, remember? I love you, love you, love you, love you, love you so much, so much. No, she's just, yeah, I'll try. All right. That was a crazy call. What is that? That she thinks she's going to bond out? Are you kidding? How is she going to bond out? That's nuts. Okay. All right. I don't know how she thinks she's going to bond out of there. All right. And you're not a bad person, or we wouldn't give you. We know you're not a bad person. Come on, you're not a bad person. You just brutally murdered someone in front of their 3-year-old and cut their baby from their womb and caused the baby to die. But you're not a bad person. We wouldn't be giving you this bond, is what she's saying. Come on. If she's not okay. I'm sorry. It's almost like ridiculous. Okay, so let's go to last night. We talked about those fake confession letters and stuff, and so I've got some stuff here. Okay, so from the over here. So the jury. This is back in the day. Okay, this is back during her trial, which was in October of 2022. The jury in the Taylor Parker capital murder trial got its first look at the 2 confession letters that prosecutors say Parker fabricated to frame another inmate for the murder of Reagan Hancock and her unborn baby. And we read about this in the legal files, right, last night. Briscoe Davis, a Texas DPS special investigator, testified the letters contained details about the murders that only the perpetrator would know. And those included some of the injuries that Reagan Hancock suffered that were only discovered during her autopsy. He testified on the stand. The letters reference one of the weapons investigators believe was used to bludgeon Reagan that was not publicly released. Both letters, written from the perspective of the real killer, describe repeatedly striking Reagan in the head with a crowbar. Davis said the injuries revealed in the autopsy are consistent with the claw of a hammer or a crowbar. Neither of those tools were found at the scene or ever recovered elsewhere. Davis said the letters also contained information accounting for some of the other items, potentially evidence missing from the scene, and details about Parker's life and travels that only she could have known. Take what you think you know, the lies, the assumptions you've come up with in your minds from what you've been fed by the Bowie County Sheriff's Office. It's all wrong. I hope you find the answers to your questions in this letter. Consider this my signed death certificate, though I found peace with that. Though drugs played a major part, I am still responsible for my actions. I have to come clean with my past in this crime. I'm guilty, and maybe that's why it's so easy to come clean, to tell you what really happened. This is the letter, okay? Both letters describe an alternate version to the one that Taylor Parker told inmates and wrote in numerous notes and letters found in her cell. Inmates turned the documents I love you. The inmates turned the documents over to investigators. In this alternate scenario, and according to the confession letters, Parker was targeted for her money by gang members and drugged and kidnapped from the side of the road and took her to Hancock's house, where she woke up to find Reagan had been severely beaten. Of course, she woke up, didn't know anything how it happened. As Parker claimed to inmates and investigators, the letters say that Reagan begged Taylor Parker to take the baby out of her dying body to save her, the baby. Word was the girl had money originally, but then the old boy got himself into some oil money and land. Doughboy, who we were rolling the deal with, for caught word in December from a crew member who happened to have an old lady who worked at the same place, overheard a man deliver a check to the biatch over $1 million. She confirmed when she called her old man in her office. Girl got it recorded, sent it to Doughboy. He called the deal. She's trying to write like a street thug, Davis said. The letters, one 10 pages long and the other 13 pages long, tell the same story, but Davis said the second letter added a few more embellishments. They both described gang members with street names like J-Dog, Doughboy, Kodiak. One even references a real drive-by involving gang-affiliated suspects outside a Texarkana Chili's. New Year's Eve 2020. Police say that was a murder-for-hire plot and part of a larger series of criminal acts by the LCB I-30 cartel gang members. Davis said there are some lower-level associates of Crips in the area, but none that law enforcement is aware of going around and killing people as gang initiation. The letters claim that gang members were monitoring and following Parker and her boyfriend Wade Griffin, using surveillance equipment to track them and listen in on their phone calls. One of the calls described in the bogus confession letter involved a conversation between Taylor and Reagan the night before the murder. "I have to tell you something," said the writer of the letter, recalling this supposed call. "I have a secret. I don't want to be with Homer anymore. We are fighting a lot now. I'm not sure if the baby is this." There was static. We repositioned, still nothing. Then we hear, "Just be here at 8 o'clock, and I'll pretend to be the doctor. He will believe it. He will be hours away. You can say you called me, and then I can back you up. It will work, I promise." The writer said the call was interrupted by static over the surveillance equipment before hearing the person, intended to be understood as Taylor, telling Reagan she needs to go with Wade in the morning for his hog delivery at the ranch in Wynwood, Oklahoma. "It's our business plan. I made the deal, not him," to which Reagan purportedly laid out their plan, telling Taylor what she needed to say to Wade. "That is perfect for the plan. Then you'll be lie free." Oh, lie free. She'll be lie free. "I hear the girls say you need to be here at 8 in the morning." The writer writes in the second confession letter, "I will call around 9 and pretend to be the doctor. Say you lost the baby and you need someone since he will be gone hours away. Call me. I'll take you home. Boom, done." The other girls said she really needed to go with him and that they'd been banking on this whole deal, and Wade normally never went alone. The implication here, Davis said, was that Reagan was going to help Taylor end her fake pregnancy by pretending to be a doctor and claiming that Taylor had a miscarriage and the baby was dead. Instead, the fake confessions claim gang members kidnapped and drugged Taylor, who was supposedly still knocked out in the car when the real killers pulled out a crowbar out of her sleeve in Reagan's garage and bashed her with it. "She was fast, but my swing was faster as the first hit came down on the back of her skull," the letter says, describing the blood running down Reagan's face before detailing what Davis believes includes real details Parker recalls from the brutal beating and murder. That's just something that she's reliving, in my opinion. Now, the defense attorney, Jeff Harrell, said, objected to that statement. Davis said the letters do weave actual events into the story. The author describes an altered version of an actual phone call between Wade Griffin, her boyfriend, and Taylor Parker the night before the murder, when he wanted to know where she was. The second letter also describes the gang members watching Wade pulling out of his Sims driveway with a trailer full of squealing hogs on the morning of the murder. They also describe a scenario where the real killer looked on as Reagan supposedly begged a shaken and devastated Parker to take the baby, ultimately grabbing the scalpel to finish cutting herself open when Parker hesitated. The letters also suggest that Reagan's 3-year-old daughter saw it all. The writer describes the terrified little girl entering the living room during the brutal assault as Reagan screamed for Taylor. Then, as I was getting ready to swing again, I heard a small voice register with the mom in me. When it said, "Mommy," I hit her again as she hollered, "Run, baby, go call Daddy. Tell him Mommy and Aunt Taylor are in trouble." I could see the tears and terror on the baby's face as I kept hitting her. And then, as I stepped towards the baby, she turned and ran. The woman could barely say for me to leave her baby alone, and she tried to get up, but she couldn't. And yet, the writer described a tear running down her cheek at the scene before her, supposedly insisting that she did not want any part of this gang initiation. In neither letter nor any of the story variations has Parker... hold on a second. Hold on, I just lost my place here. This thing just came here. Has Parker taken any responsibility for any of the injuries Reagan suffered? Richards also noticed that the letters rarely reference Reagan by name, only calling her the blonde and later the bloody girl. Parker reportedly refused to say Reagan's name throughout her interviews with police and conversations with fellow inmates and her jailhouse therapist. Prosecutors say the letters proved explanations for gaps in Parker's statements for gaps in Parker's statements to police and corroborated that witnesses Parker planned to plant. They describe a car passing by that would later become the random witness Parker tried to get fellow bi-state inmate and trustee Phyllis Granny Dawson to set up based on details Parker provided to her in a puzzle book before Dawson was released from jail. Davis testified that this was just one example of the many ways Parker would morph herself into the type of person each target needed her to be in order to ingratiate herself and earn their trust. Both letters referenced the fire at Griffin's home on October 5th, claiming members of the gang set it and then watched as the half-naked couple came outside and put it out. Parker herself is believed to have set the fire in order to get out of going to the hospital to have her labor induced because she had not found a victim yet. The letters also accounted for evidence never recovered at the scene. The knife, the crowbar, Reagan's cell phone, and the black hoodie Parker wore on the morning of the murders. They even mentioned the fake belly Parker brought to fake her pregnancy, describing it falling off of Parker during the struggle with her attackers in Reagan's living room. The author of the letters describes finding Reagan's phone in a back bedroom. Devante said, "You hear that? It was a phone." He walked down the hall into a room to the right. It was a phone. He put it on airplane mode. He said, "Grab the evidence in a trash bag. Let's go. Calls are coming in. No answer. They will send someone." The letters claim the gang members bagged up bloody towels, knives, and other evidence, and they chucked it out the car window. The letters also point to a plan to finish the job on Parker in jail, whether it be by a beatdown or poisoning, before finishing with an apology. Tell the families I'm sorry. I not only destroyed the two families, but mine too. I see the dead girl in my sleep now. I know how the girl behind bars must feel, thinking that she killed her friend. I'm sorry I took you from your family. I'm sorry they think you're a monster. Why do you think you did it? You begged for help. You tried to save the baby. I saw you. I did this to you, to her, to your families. It says, confer your sins, and God will forgive. Both letters were signed by Alexandria Dale, which Davis said is likely just another made-up character. Davis testified that an 8-page letter to Lana Addison fills in the gaps of the confession letters from Taylor's point of view. It provides the exposition that hearing Hannah's voice after she arrived in jail jarred a memory, and she remembers Hannah is the girl on the side of the road that she stopped to help, and remembers how she woke up at Hancock's house and saves the baby and leaves with her. Davis said that the level of sophistication it would take to pull off this jail plot is amazingly complex, especially considering the institutions that started plotting it all out before the murder. Especially considering the indications that she started plotting it all out before the murder. There might be things that we don't even know about Richards, asked Davis. There are definitely things that we don't know about, Davis responds. As for the inmate prosecutors say Parker was trying to frame, Davis described Hannah Hollander as a troubled lady with a bad meth addiction and suicidal tendencies. Hollander was arrested and booked into bi-state on January 4th of 2021 and immediately placed on suicide watch. She was housed next to Parker in a segregated pod. While the first confession letter was written before Hollander arrived at the jail and did not mention her specifically, the second confession letter, dated January 14, 2021, was 3 pages longer, and in it she claimed a gang drugged her, abducted her from the side of the road, and took her to Hancock's house. In this alternate version of how the murders happened, Parker claimed to multiple inmates that she woke up to find Reagan beaten severely, and Reagan begged her to take the baby out of her dying body to save her. Okay, well. On Monday, a fellow inmate, Kaylee Bromsey, testified that Parker forged a suicide note and asked her to plant it in a cell she shared with Hollander. Find it and turn it over to the jail staff. Prosecutors have since revealed that law enforcement has been unable to locate Hollander since her release in May of 2022. Prosecutors spent the morning establishing where the letters came from and how they were recovered before introducing them into evidence, which they did after the lunch recess over objections from the defense. Earlier in the morning, the prosecutors brought in the New Boston Police Detective Rusty Hill. Hill searched Parker's cell in October of 2021 after Parker's alleged plot to frame fellow inmates came to light and prompted an investigation. Hill was looking for handwriting samples to be examined by forensics investigators and compared to the confession letters. Prosecutors showed the jury a number of notes and handwritten documents that were recovered in Hill's search of Parker's cell. They included letters to her family, notes showing Parker flirting with other inmates, plans for a cattleman's gala, and business plans to run a farm and a restaurant. Oh, wonderful. They also included what prosecutors called a cheat sheet with bullet points on details from Parker's roadside gang kidnapping and framing version of the story. The documents include details such as the time on the clock on the dash of the car when she awoke from the drugging, 8:20 a.m. And girl pulls me up, B guy holding doctor, apparently indicating the girl had pulled up and a black guy was holding the door. Prosecutors pointed out where Parker included some of these details in her love notes to Addison. The prosecutor showed the jury pages from a devotional, When Jesus Speaks to an Anxious Heart. Oh boy, let's see what she did with that. It contained a handwritten dedication inside the front cover to Parker's daughter and her mother. Each page includes a verse and a passage along with a space to write. Wait a second. Who put the thing in there? Parker wrote that on there? She said, God, I ask you to hear me. I ask that you release her from the pain from her heart and guide her with his hands and eyes during this time of unknowing. She says, God knows the actions and her heart. You alone know. He alone knows that she did not commit the murder, and that she's being convicted of. And asks for God's help to open the eyes of the ones who hate her, and said that for years she lied about the pregnancy, but not to take a life. She lied, but not to take a life. And then she's asked God to help her, and saying that she confesses her sins before God. And then amen. On another page, she wrote that her jailhouse girlfriend, Lana Addison, who she had recruited to play a role in a framing plot as a lead witness and to discredit another inmate who failed to do her bidding as a warrior of God, and said, let the lead detectives open their eyes to what Kaylee and Lana say. She says that God gives her the strength to stand and fight, and the sources to aid her in this battle with the Bowie County Sheriff's Office, and that want to kill her. And she wants them to turn to Hannah. She wrote on another page, pleading with God to pass the wolves to Hannah. She pondered in the devotional how Hannah knew to stop her in the middle of the road in that direction, and noted that Wade was the last person she spoke to before the alleged abduction. Detective Hill confirmed that in none of those devotional notes did Parker appear to be questioning what actually occurred during the murder. On another page, she writes to God, I keep having flashbacks. I see those girls' faces, the two guys. I can't sleep. The more I try to forget and tell myself I can take the punishment, I feel like you are persecuting me for not talking. You know what they said. And then she says she speaks the word, if she spoke a word, her family would die. Hill testified that he believes Parker was trying to convey that she was scared to talk because her family had been threatened by the gang that she claimed abducted and framed her. Later, she wrote in the devotional, I was wrong about Lana. She is not of God. She lies and betrays like the other lying snakes. I don't want to speak to her ever again. I'm done trying to help her with her demons. At this point, Addison has fallen out of Parker's favor for questioning her stories, failing to carry out her role, and ultimately going to the authorities. On another page, Taylor wrote, do lies make me a dang murderer? No. Finishing with, why won't no one listen to me and hear the truth? Richards noted that the devotional appears to be intended to go to Taylor's daughter at some point, where she will read about her mother claiming to be innocent and that Hannah Hollander actually committed the crime. Before introducing the letters, prosecutors brought a handwriting expert to the stand, who testified that although they could not definitively confirm that Parker wrote the letters, they did find that the handwriting, including distorted and potentially unnatural prepared handwriting, low individuality, moderate to high reproducibility, pen lifts and hesitation, which could all be an attempt to disguise or deliberation. The letters shown in the court on Tuesday included handwriting that some sections were obviously written at different times and in different inks, and sometimes in sloppy print as opposed to Parker's standard and relatively neat cursive script. An expert in latent fingerprints testified that only Parker's fingerprints could be identified on the 10-page confession letter. Bromsley also testified Tuesday that Parker would practice covering her hands when she wrote to avoid leaving fingerprints on the pages. Interesting. So that's, let's see where we are. Where's the chat? What do they think about this? Okay, what's going on? So, hi B Lady. Hi Video Reel. I don't know how people don't see the reality of demons and angels. Oh, hi High Speed. How come I didn't see you? How come I didn't see you? Yeah, crazy, right? How is it 1:17 already? What is going on? Several years ago, your Pope directed all of the churches learn about spiritual warfare and knowing the fight because it was going to get bad. I don't know how people don't know about the reality of demons and angels and God versus the devil. It's so obvious to me that we are in a spiritual battle from birth. Christ came to save our souls. We just have to believe in what he did for us on the cross. Data, drifter, well, freedom. Let me see. Several years ago. Okay, that you got there. That truly was fantastic and held over several weeks. There were folks at our congregation that discussed the experiences with spiritual warfare. Okay, spiritual warfare is a real topic. I don't play around. It was a true learning experience, trust me. Spiritual warfare, not that I'm aware of. When was this, B Lady? How long ago? How many years are you talking about? We have do you go to like a mega church? Do you have one of those mega churches? Because we don't have a mega church. We have a tiny little church on the hill where I was christened up here. It's tiny. It's not a mega church. You know how some of those churches have almost like it's almost like a show. Yeah, we don't have anything like that. I saw what you said, but I'm asking how long ago was it, and do you go to a mega church? How many years ago was it? You go to a regular church, okay, which is now part of a Catholic family due to a lack of priests. Yeah, I'm not sure. How many years ago was it? Because now a lot of the priests up here are Indian. Did you know that? We used to have, older like Franciscan priests, and now it's really, there's a shortage of priests, Catholic priests. And it's a shame because some of them are hard to understand, really, and it's kind of made things difficult, let's put it that way. Pope Leo, okay. Yeah, there is a shortage for sure. For absolute sure. Okay, so let's see what else we can find on our daughter-in-law is a missionary priest and is currently in Africa. Oh, really? Wow. Good for her. Right? Let me see this now. Let's see. I want to go over something else here now. Shoot. Okay, Reagan Hancock was brutally slashed, stabbed, and bludgeoned before her baby was cut out of her womb in October of 2020, but the evidence presented Tuesday to the jury in the capital murder trial showed that she fought hard for her life. Taylor was 27 at the time of the murders on October 9th, 2020. And Reagan Hancock was 21. Prosecutors say they're seeking the death penalty because Parker showed no remorse and the premeditated and heinous nature of the crime. Okay, so the Texarkana, Texas Police Department crime scene investigator Mark Sullivan walked the jury through photographs that showed different types of blood swipes, spatter, and shoe prints. There was blood spattered everywhere, including on the walls and even on the ceiling. This was not a quick death, was it? Asked the Assistant District Attorney Kelly Crisp. No, it was not, Sullivan replied. Sullivan testified that it was the worst crime scene he has ever seen, much like the others that have seen that crime scene said. There were pictures of a bloody hairprint on the refrigerator, below a series of ultrasound scans of the baby Braxton. Investigators found a child's bathing suit on the living room floor that was soaked with blood, and they believe it might have been used to try to wipe something off. A child's nighttime pull-up diaper was soaked with urine and found on top of the pool of blood on the living room floor next to the couch. Sullivan believes it did not end up there until after the murder. There was a large blood stain on the edge of the couch with clumps of what appeared to be Reagan's blonde hair in it, as if her head was leaning against it at some point during the attack. There was bodily fluid soaking into the couch cushions, which Sullivan believes came from the 3.5-year-old child that was in the home at the time. A blanket on the living room floor was soaked with blood and what is believed to have been amniotic fluid. A jar of pink and blue sand from the couple's wedding on the living room floor, monogrammed with an H, was found spattered with blood near Hancock's body. Investigators believe the 4-pound jar was just one of the items that was used to bludgeon Hancock in the head and fracture her skull. They found a semicircular indentation above her left temple that seemed to match the size and the shape of the bottom of the jar. Another jar from the wedding was found on the floor, and the dining room area also smeared with blood. Sullivan testified the pattern and the direction of the bloody swipes by the floor, on the floor by the front door were more patterns suggesting bloody hair was smeared against it to indicate someone was pushed against the wall, sliding to the left towards the front door and down to the floor. The wall near Hancock's body was splattered with blood going in all directions, some enough to drip, indicating a significant beating took place there. Injuries on Hancock's body included numerous stab wounds and deep incisions caused by a sharp-edged weapon consistent with a scalpel. She was cut open from hip to hip, and her uterus was pulled out and cut. Her hands showed extensive defensive wounds, including bruises, scrapes, stab wounds, cuts on her fingers and palms. One finger was dislocated, and the tip of another was nearly cut off. Sullivan also testified to finding two distinct sets of prints throughout much of the crime scene. One was consistent with the Crocs that Parker was wearing when she was arrested, and the other set was consistent with the No Boundaries brand of sandals that she was seen wearing in the surveillance video at the Easy Mart just a few hours before the murder. Based on the patterns Sullivan identified in the bloody tracks, whoever was wearing the Crocs was doing a lot of walking back and forth through blood around the blanket, on the floor, and around Hancock's body. There were watery blood stains on the kitchen and hallway bathroom sink, as if someone tried to wash something bloody. While several possible fingerprints were identified at the scene, the CSI says none of them proved to be clear enough to be useful to the investigation. Wow. Okay, so then Dallas County Medical Examiner Dr. Melinda Flores also testified for more than 2 hours about the findings in the autopsy, detailing the extensive cuts, scrapes, bruises, blunt force trauma that Hancock suffered in the attack, and that she was slashed and stabbed well over 100 times, 39 of them to her scalp alone. There were also multiple slashes around her neck. In addition to a broken nose, she suffered 5 skull fractures, indicating at least 5 separate blows. Flores pointed to fractures that showed where Hancock was hit with what was likely to be the claw of a hammer, as well as the blunt end, in addition to fractures consistent with the bottom of a mason jar. Scalpel blade used in the attack was found buried in her neck. The medical examiner's testimony was briefly interrupted when the judge removed the jury from the courtroom in order to address some issues. Once they were gone, the judge had Parker escorted out, and for the first time since the trial began, Parker appeared to hide her face from the camera as she left the room. She returned 20 minutes later. Her eyes were red as if she'd been crying. Her defense attorney reportedly requested the brief break. Back on the stand, the medical examiner testified that Reagan Hancock died as a result of sharp force injuries and blunt force injuries, but concluded that they could not rule out the possibility that ligature strangulation contributed to her death. Flores testified that there were too many deep incisions around the victim's neck to be sure. The manner of death was ruled a homicide. The defense had no questions for the medical examiner before she left the stand. The Texas Ranger who searched Taylor Parker's car and home also took the stand on Tuesday, testifying that he found a loaded gun in the car, but none of the weapons believed to have been used in the murder. Texas Ranger Stacy McNeil said he found a loaded Taurus Judge revolver holstered in the passenger seat of the Toyota Corolla that Parker was driving when she was pulled over with a lifeless newborn girl in her lap. The gun had 5 rounds in the chamber. McNeil said he did find a blood-stained blanket and pillow in the passenger seat, pajama pants, and other bloodied items. Those items were swabbed and submitted for analysis at the crime lab. He also found bloodied paperwork on the dash and noted blood on the driver's seat and console. On the passenger side, he found a paper sack from McDonald's, likely from Parker's purchase that morning. She got McDonald's before she went over there? McNeil also recovered the black yoga pants and the bloody underwear that were cut off of Parker that morning by people who thought they were helping a woman who had just given birth on the side of the road. The bikini panties appeared to have some blood on them, and McNeil said they had a foul odor. It smelled like someone had defecated, McNeil said on the stand. Crime lab analysis would later show that most of the DNA taken on the samples from the crime scene and from Parker's car came from Reagan Hancock and her baby, and that none of the DNA in the blood samples came back matching Parker. The Texas Ranger also found a diaper bag with some blood on it. He found newborn baby clothes, some with tags still on them, diapers, and baby blankets. McNeil did not find the black jacket with the leopard print lining and the hoodie that Parker was seen wearing on the surveillance at the Easy Mart in the morning of the murder. She went to the Easy Mart. Nor any of the weapons suspected in Hancock's murder. There were no hammers, there were no crowbars, scalpels in the car. He also did not find Hancock's missing cell phone. McNeil went to the crime scene on Austin Street and searched Parker's home on CR 23 and Sims. Photos taken from outside the house and inside the cabin showed a fairly typical, if small, home of someone who has a young female child and is expecting a baby. There was a baby swing in the living room, a crib, and baby clothing in the bedroom, and what appeared to be a children's play area in the loft. The search warrants for the home included Wade's F-350 Super Duty pickup truck. There was an infant seat in it, the size you would use for a newborn. McNeil did not find any potential murder weapons or evidence directly related to the murder. The only question Parker's defense team, co-counsel Mac Cobb, had for McNeil was whether the play area in the loft contained items consistent with the presence of a 10-year-old girl in an apparent reference to Parker's daughter, who was about that age at the time of the murders. Okay. Okay, some more about this trial and what they saw. Okay. So then the jurors viewed detailed photographs. Hold on a second. What is wrong with this? Why can I? Let me make this a little smaller. No, I just think I made it bigger. Hang on. Come on. I'm getting angry. Computer's being stupid. Okay, here it is. All right, so jurors in Taylor Parker's trial viewed detailed photographs of Parker's bruised body and bloodied hands following her arrest on the day of Reagan Hancock's murder. Parker, who was 27, was seen in photos that were presented to the jury as part of the testimony. That was, beginning with nurses and doctors at the McCurtain County Memorial Hospital who determined that Parker had not just given birth, and EMS and emergency room personnel continued their efforts to save Braxton's life. First on this stand was a nurse who felt for Parker's uterus to make sure it was not bleeding by pushing on her abdomen and couldn't feel it. By this time, they knew the baby might not be hers. Lori Gibson called for an ultrasound. McCurtain County obstetrician Dr. William Herron did a vaginal exam and did not see a cervix, indicating there was likely no uterus. He testified he only saw scant traces of blood on her vaginal vault, the expanded region of the vaginal canal, at the internal end of the vagina. During the exam, Gibson said Parker was asking questions but did not seem excited or especially upset. She was very stoic. No emotion showed on her face. When the ultrasound confirmed that there was no uterus, Gibson ordered a quantitative HCG test run on her blood. The so-called pregnancy hormone can show up for 6 weeks after delivery. It came back negative. On the stand, Gibson said when Dr. Heron finished the exam and used the phrase, "if she did deliver," in speaking to other medical personnel in the room, "if I did deliver?" Dr. Heron detailed his observation of the baby's conditions and how he got a referral to send her to Oklahoma Children's Hospital in Oklahoma City, but because of poor weather, it was expected to take 4 to 5 hours to get her there, even by air. They were maintaining a pulse, but barely, and only with medicine and external assistance. It was not enough to keep her blood pumping sufficiently to her organs. They were helping her breathe, and consulting again with the doctors at OCH and reviewing the baby's vitals, they determined that she likely suffered extensive brain damage from lack of oxygen and that her condition was not compatible with life. That was when they made the decision to remove all life-saving measures. She was declared dead at 1:22 p.m. Baby Braxton weighed 7 pounds and was 18.75 inches long. Dr. Heron, who had been delivering babies in McCurtain County for over 41 years, testified that she would have been viable at that age and size. Bowie County Assistant District Attorney Lauren Richards noted that the jury has heard Parker telling the trooper who pulled her over at 9:35 a.m. in DeKalb that her baby was about 35 minutes old. Richards told the doctor EMS crews got her pulse back shortly after arriving on the scene. If that baby had been dead the entire time, do you believe they would have been able to get the pulse back? No, Dr. Heron said. Logic tells you that the baby was alive because they were able to get a pulse back, said Richards, turning to a question about whether he has performed a cesarean section on women who were either not medicated or under-medicated. He explained that in cases where that has been necessary, they use ketamine, he said, which he says disassociates the brain from the body, but you don't have any memory of pain because the pain would be excruciating to undergo that. Yes, he said. Parker's defense did not question any of the assertions from witness that Parker did not give birth to the baby, but they did question whether the baby was ever born alive. Okay. Parker's co-counsel, Matt Cobb, asked Dr. Herring if he ever knew the baby did not get a pulse until EMS crews worked on her, and Herring said he did not. He had assumed that the baby had been found dead, and he does not know what condition she would have arrived in had EMS crews not taken life-saving measures. Okay, if paramedics weren't doing the life-saving measures after 45 minutes after this baby had been born, do you think they could have revived this baby? No, Dr. Heron said. Jurors also heard from the Idabel police officer who took Parker into custody at the hospital and took detailed photos of her hands, face, and body while booking her into a jail cell. Officer Jamie Mills processed Parker for booking into the city jail. As part of that process, she took detailed photographs of Parker's face, Parker's stomach, back, legs, and feet to document distinctive marks and tattoos. In addition to several tattoos that included Bible scripture quoting Isaiah 12:2, God is my salvation, I will trust and not be afraid. The photos showed a long scratch on Parker's neck and bruising on her shoulder, arms, and legs. They also showed photographs of Parker's reddened hands and fingernails crusted with blood, as well as a cut in the crease of her left thumb. There was also what appeared to be a burst at an irritated blister type of wound on her left thumb. Photos of Parker's feet showed dried blood on her toenails and in between her toes and splattered up from the back of her feet. The photos were time-stamped at 3 p.m. that day. Parker's defense counsel only asked Officer Mills what it could be known from how old those bruises were and what caused them, to which she answered she could not. Most of the day's testimony was taken up by the detailed testimony from the expert in call, detail records, and the geolocation analysis, who said that Parker's travels and search activity intensified in the 3 weeks leading up to the murders in what prosecutors call a clear pattern of planning and intent. Okay, let me see here. Okay, you're still there. Good. Hold on 1 second, because I have to open this door for a second, because it is, I don't know if it's just me. Is it hot in here or is it me? It shouldn't be that hot in here because it's not that hot outside. It's probably going to be really a cool breeze when I open the door, but I don't get at all why it feels so hot in here. It might just be me. It might be me, even though I was in the water for like 2.5 hours. I don't know. Let me just make sure that the kids don't have the heat on. Hold on, check this. All right. We're okay. We're okay now. It's probably just me. Let me get some ice, and then we'll finish. I gotta get some ice. I have to get some ice. I can't believe how fast this ice melts. It's like crazy. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. All right. All righty. Let me get back here. Back here. Okay. There I am. Now let's see what's going on here and here. What is 7 pounds is a pretty healthy weight. Okay, are we, you need an ice machine. It's been over 110. Yikes. Yikes. Really? But it's a dry heat, right? That's not for me, high speed. Okay, so let me see. Well, let's go back to where we were. It was still 90. Wow. And it's humid, right? Not nice. Okay. So Dr. Kevin Berkleo reviewed geolocation and cell phone data for both Parker's phone and the burner phone, as well as Reagan Hancock's and Wade Griffin's cell phones. He also juxtaposed Parker's Google search activity with her cell phone location data and mapped it all out on a timeline. The analysis shows that Parker's search activity for pregnancy-related items, information, and locations intensified around September 15th and continued through the morning of the murders. The analysis showed Parker was visiting many of the locations that she searched, which included OBGYN clinics and maternity stores. Would you say these searches are consistent with continuing a fake pregnancy? Richards asked. It's consistent with that, yes, Berkelio said. Berkelio testified that he believes Parker did a trial run on the day before the murders. He said cell phone location data shows Parker was at the victim's home the night before and again early the next morning. All of that information helped develop a very clear timeline. He says that the murders occurred between 7:52 a.m. and 9:14 a.m. on October 9th, and Parker was there. What's more, Berkelio said both Parker's primary phone and her burner phone moved away from the scene of the crime on Austin Street around 9:14 a.m., and they were with Reagan's phone. Police collected Parker's phone on the day of the murders, but because Reagan's phone has never been recovered, investigators have not been able to download data that would show the content of the messages that were sent to her phone. They can only see the numbers with which the phone was in contact. The data shows the last time Reagan's phone connected with the cell phone provider network was 9:26 that morning, and it was no longer anywhere near her home. The last activity on Reagan's phone before that was 7:52 a.m. when a text was sent from her device in reply to a number known to be one Parker had purchased and set up using a VoIP app the evening before, just minutes before walking into Reagan's house. Okay, let's see. Come on. Taylor Parker. Oh my goodness, hold on a second. Someone on Instagram, whose name is Taylor Parker and she takes wedding photos, said that, I guess people, isn't that weird, because Taylor Parker took wedding photos and she's like saying she's not that girl. Interesting. Okay. Where were we? All right, let's look up when the ex-boyfriend took the stand, okay? The man, prosecutors say Taylor Parker faked her pregnancy to keep him, took the stand Thursday morning. Parker was 27. We know all this. Okay, we're not going to go into that. We're going to get to it. Wade Griffin described his relationship with Taylor Parker as an emotional roller coaster. The 27-year-old roofing company supervisor, he was 27 as well, said he and Taylor met at a rodeo in July of 2019 and started talking through social media. Before long, they were having dinners together and meeting each other's families. He worked long hours at a roofing company in Dangerfield and did side jobs like welding, hog trapping, and managing livestock. He said Taylor asked him to do an estimate on clearing and fencing some family land in Bryan's Mill, Texas. She told him she was the only one keeping the property up and wanted to get it cleared out. She claimed she had access to family money to pay for the work. It had grown up and had bushes and saplings on it. She was pretty much wanting me to get it back to the way it used to be. It would have been a $50,000 job, he said. I didn't have no clue, Griffin said. I mean, I believed every word she said, including when she asked Griffin's friend Juan could work for him while she was getting everything together on the cleaning job. She paid him his first check before telling Griffin her mother found out and shut it down. After that, Wade had to start, not the cleaning job, the clearing job, I'm sorry, had to start paying Juan himself. He had promised his longtime friend a job. The day she told me Shauna's the mother, put a stop to the spending and the equipment was pretty much stolen. The work wasn't going to happen. Juan broke down crying. He had 4 kids and couldn't go on without a job. Griffin says from the beginning, Parker went to great lengths to make herself indispensable. I love to eat, Griffin said on the scene, eliciting a few chuckles from the jury box and some observers in the courtroom. He said he would text the things he wanted to try for dinner and she would have it ready for him when he got home. On top of keeping Griffin well fed, he says she helped care for the livestock, kept up with the finances, and managed the household. She made it easy for him to rely on her. Talk of Taylor's family money came early in the relationship, but he testified that he did not ask too many questions because the relationship was so new, and he felt it was none of his business. He admitted he still did not dig very deeply, even after he found himself in hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt because he believed her claims that that money was coming. She always had an excuse, Griffin said. I'm just a boyfriend. It's not like we were married. So I'm going by what she told me, but within weeks, Parker took it to another level. She was cooking. She was a good cook, pretty much the best I ever had. So I was excited. He saw baby stuff on the counter and wondered what was going on. That's when she told him she had gone to the doctor the other day. I'm pretty much pregnant. She told him we were maybe 2 or 3 weeks in at the most. Parker claimed she was having twins. What? While the pregnancy Parker is accused of faking in 2020 before killing Reagan Hancock is the focus of the criminal trial, it was not her first. The pregnancy in August of 2019 was just one of several deceptions that Parker orchestrated, stating just weeks into the relationship, and it ended with another elaborate deception. Parker used a VoIP app to text Griffin, posing as her father, Mark Morton. He told Griffin he had been in a wreck and his bush hog was totaled. Parker told Griffin he was going to help him and get the damaged farm equipment towed, while she and Jace, a man he was led to believe was a family friend, were helping Parker's father. A winch snapped and a towing cable hit her in the stomach, which hurt one of the babies. Parker had a hysterectomy in 2015, which meant she had no uterus and could not bear children. He was just getting to know her and how her complicated family dynamics. It wasn't long before he started hearing about the trouble between Taylor and her mother, Shona, and how she controlled the family money. Parker was telling Griffin that her grandmother had created an account where they were going to put the proceeds from the family's oil and gas royalties, and that she was going to have access to it so she could fix up the family's property. Through fabricated texts and emails, Parker had Griffin convinced that she had the funds to pay for the clearing work and for farm trucks and equipment to maintain it, but her mother was the executor of the account and did not want her spending it. Parker claimed Shona was harassing and threatening her, and Griffin started getting messages from Mandy Body, a.k.a. Mandy Boy, those are her aliases, we heard about that yesterday, That was the email address and alternate identity Parker used to fake the harassment. I'm kind of blown away, Griffin testified. I really didn't know what to think. It all sounded good. I just couldn't believe it was coming on so fast. Her parents texting me, her grandparents texting me, telling me, you get married and this is pretty much what you're looking at. Over the course of the trial, the prosecution presented witnesses and evidence showing how Parker also had Wade Griffin convinced that her mother ordered a hit on him. Okay, my goodness. Prosecutors say the hit ruse had multiple purposes in getting Griffin to allow Parker and her 10-year-old daughter to move into his small cabin in Sims. With Shona gone, it also freed up Taylor's alleged access to the family money. Parker told Griffin she had $6 million and she had big plans with it. She wanted to buy some land and make money on it. It was Griffin who suggested Pecan Point. He knew the land and had worked for its current owner. He told her he knew the perfect place for that. She was glowing whenever I told her about Pecan Point and where it was and all that good stuff. They met up with the realtor, checked out the property. It had great duck hunting and plenty of possibilities. So that made me excited. It had a lot of grass cows and stuff on it. It was pretty much a dream come true. They made an offer of $3.5 million with $200,000 up front. The deal eventually grew to include adjoining land in a purchase that would have totaled $20 million. Come on. Okay, come on, Wade. Are you kidding me? Sorry, that's ridiculous. Okay, Griffin was seeing dozens of emails a day with official-looking letters and documents. The numbers started getting silly when Parker faked checks for millions of dollars. Griffin even tried to cash one of those checks. Oh my gosh, come on, Griffin. For $8 million at his bank. Sorry, this is unbelievable. I've got this $8 million check. Is there a limit? Can I get this cashed? I'll take it in, come on. You can... What the hell? Can I have it in 20s? Can you imagine? I'll take it in 20s, 10s, 1s, and 5s, please. I don't want any large bills. Or you can give me some 50s, all right? What the heck? He tried to cash a check for $8 million. Is this going to be a problem? Oh my gosh. This is too much. This is really too much. They told him it was a lot of money for a check. Oh, come on. And those amounts were usually transferred by wire. It's crazy. I didn't know what to think, Wade said. I've never received or dealt with anything that large. So it didn't surprise him. The banks have trouble dealing with that amount of money. Why is he trying to cash an $8 million check? And what's he going to do? Banking on money that would ultimately never come through, Griffin bought a brand new $29,000 side-by-side ATV. He bought a new $92,000 heavy-duty pickup truck for himself and a new Altima for his mother. What the hell? He also bought about... Where is he getting this money from? Where is he getting it to put this up? He also bought about 20 head of cattle for $21,000. All of it was financed. All of it was financed with the expectation that when the issue with the banks and the wire funds were resolved, they would all be paid off. Since that never happened, Griffin said he ended up saddled with debt, and by January of 2020, he was feeling the pressure. And on top of that, Taylor was demanding that they have more intimacy in their relationship. I want you to take into consideration on my part you haven't touched me, kissed me, or anything in over a month. It's lonely, and that's something I need in our relationship. You used to do it, so I'd like it back. Parker wrote in a message. I'll pass, was all Griffin wrote back. Guess I'm not very affectionate, hands-on kind of guy, I guess you would say. Plus all the financial issues, all these fake people texting me, promising me this, promising me that, and just constantly letting me down. I just wasn't attracted, to the point where I was thinking, this has got to be a trap. It was decent at the beginning. We were intimate a few times at the beginning, but all the rumors, the job, I'd financed the truck and the side-by-side, financed the cows, and it was all falling on my shoulders, and I think I just got in way over my head. Yeah, probably the first thing, don't go purchasing everything based on promises. Get the money first. Okay, buddy? You got an $8 million check you're going to bring to the bank and think you're going to cash that. Okay. This is insane. Maybe she was more interested in that part of the relationship than you were, he was asked. Yes. So when she said she was expecting again in late February, he was not particularly excited. When she told me, I was kind of in shock, but it came at the same time. I've been telling her we are not financially able to keep everything we had done bought. It was ripping my bank account. None of the money was coming through, and she knew I was getting pretty depressed over it. And yet, Wade Griffin believed Parker had money coming in. He recounted how she told him his old tractor needed an upgrade and that she would pay for it. And I said, well, we done got enough stuff already, and I'm having to pay for it, and I don't want to have to finance something else. And she reassured me that she'd handle the tractor deal. They left the dealership with a $63,000 tractor. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The cashier's check was fake and the tractor was repossessed. I told her, just like everything else, the money's not coming through again. The jury's got to be wondering, how is she getting away with this? Chris asked Wade Griffin, who said he was family friends with the dealership and it upset him because he felt like he had let people down. It was just throwing my name out there. Wade done this, Wade done bought this, couldn't pay for it, bought that, couldn't pay for it. Just made me look bad all around. But when Griffin learned Parker's family was planning to divide up some of the land and that he and Parker were going to get some of it, he wanted to believe. Parker's aunt, Katie Jo, was texting them to let them know they were on board and willing to give them a little bit more so they could run cows on it. The real Shona Pryor has two sisters, Molly and Katie. Griffin did not know it at the time, but he was not communicating with either of the real aunts. The screenshots Parker was showing him of her conversations with them were fabricated. Griffin would later learn that this entire cast of characters he'd been communicating with for over months, all over the land and the bank dealings, were all made up by Parker in a series of elaborate and entangled deceptions. I just realized this 2019-2020 stuff was happening at the very same time I had that imposter J-Bells. Isn't that hysterical? Not really funny. Same time frame. In addition to fake versions of Parker's family members, there were entirely fabricated bank and oil company executives, a hit squad of Mexican mafia members, an attorney named Blake Longton, and a law enforcement contact known only as Coburn. They had ages. She had background information about every person. Griffin testified as first assistant district attorney. Kelly Crisp was walking him through a litany of Parker's deceptions. Once I started talking to you, it was like, well, this person's fake, that person's fake, everybody's fake. Whenever he tried to call any of the purported contacts back, it would go to voicemail, and they would text him back with some excuse. Griffin said he is untangling what was real and what was not. In hindsight, there are still things you haven't figured out. Yep, there were just so many pieces to the puzzle. Okay, as prosecutors, let's see, here we go. Are going through the first 2 weeks. Okay, more than once, Chris referenced the question that she must have been asked hundreds of times. How did he know the stories? How did he not know the stories that Taylor Parker was telling him were not true? Who's going to go to this extreme to make up this stuff? So I had no doubts about it. But others still had questions. His close friend, Cody Ott, saw the checks bouncing and warned him that he and his wife did not believe Parker had all that money. Ott testified that he urged his friend not to quit his job until the money came through on that Pecan Point deal. Of course, it never did. Parker continued to check in at the OBGYN clinic and social media and share updates. Griffin said that she would come home and tell him what the doctor had said, how the blood work looked good, and all that. Okay, and all that. Let's see. Their friends, Cody and Stephanie Ott, hosted the couple's gender reveal party in March. Parker wanted Griffin to bring a heifer with a pink bow to represent that the baby was going to be a girl. Parker posted photos with the heifer calf on Facebook. His mother, his boss, Roger Pate, and his wife Angela, Taylor's dad, Mark Morton, Taylor's daughter, and her daughter's grandmother were all there. Let me see if I can get this. This is the heifer. Okay, Clancy Griffin is the size of a large lemon this week. Little G is growing fast. Little G. Okay, so let's see. Where were we? Griffin said he always liked the name Clancy, so the couple planned to name her Clancy Gale. Clancy Gale. In spite of his commitment to stand by the woman he believed was the mother of his child, Griffin said he did ask his mother if she thought a tummy tuck could explain why Parker did not seem to be growing the way most pregnant women do. She had her own suspicions already and told him a tummy tuck was not the reason his girlfriend did not appear to be pregnant. But his boss, who along with his wife thought highly of Parker, told Griffin she's a sweet girl and reassured him that her body type just didn't carry a baby like smaller, more petite women. Parker certainly played the pregnant part. According to Griffin, every morning she'd get up and say she was getting morning sickness, go in the bathroom, and I'd hear her throwing up in the commode. She would tell him when the baby was moving a lot or that she'd been kicking when he came home from work, but whenever he felt her belly, he didn't feel any movement. He told his boss about that. You don't need to have no doubts. Roger Pat told him, she's pregnant. Quit thinking like that. Come September, you're going to be daddy. But Roger and his wife Angela had claimed they had felt the baby move. Parker had purchased a fake belly by the time the couple did their maternity shoot in August 2020. In some of the photos, Griffin has his hand over hers on that bump. On the baby bump. Go on now. Get over there. What the heck is he guy? Man. Okay. Okay. He said, I did not have a clue. It was like a real stomach. Griffin said he never saw any packaging around the house for a baby bump. I'd have flipped out if I ever seen anything like that. Even if he did ask questions, he said that Parker was ready for them. I'd walk through the door and she'd already be ready with the answers. She'd have proof of a text message, a phone call with Grandma. If I pushed it, she'd pretty much make me look stupid. I cannot believe you don't believe me. I'm carrying your child. The same went for questions about the money. The prosecutor said you would make purchases relying on that, and when you got upset it was your fault, and Shona would berate you for only being in it for the money. Crisp said you were always the bad guy. So Griffin said he went along. He took off time from work to be there for doctor's appointments. But every time on the morning of or that night, she'd be like, oh, I know you took off to go to the baby doctor, but it's COVID, so you're going to have to sit in the waiting room. So it was always an excuse why I could not go in there to ask or talk to the doctor. She put it perfectly to where I couldn't be in the room. He ultimately told her he couldn't keep lying to his boss. You can go and give me updates, but I'm not going to keep taking off, he recalled telling her. Griffin said he was determined to be there for the baby's birth. He took a family medical leave at the beginning of October, days before Parker said she was planning to go to the Titus Regional Medical Center to have her labor induced. And by this point, the baby was 3 full weeks past its due date of September 19th. You know now that's not how it works, Crisp asked Griffin, asking if he understands now that deliveries can't just be scheduled like one might set a dentist appointment. I guess they don't know that's how deliveries are mostly done now. Yeah, they are. I didn't know anything about that because I never had a kid, and I didn't know how all that stuff worked. Even when Taylor Parker's ex-husband texted him anonymously to warn him that Parker could not possibly be pregnant and that all the hospitals in the area were on high alert in case she tried to steal a baby, Griffin was under the influence of the alternate universe Parker had created. He believed all day that it was Parker's mother continuing her harassment campaign. He sent a screenshot to Parker. If that's not your mom, I don't know what is. It fit her language, Griffin explained. I said, well, your mom's trying to get in our business again. I thought, man, I can't believe she's going to this extreme. That's what the mean text from Mandy Body started. That's when they started back up. She had gone radio silent after her supposed suicide in jail, but Parker told him just before they went to her aunt's for Christmas that she was not dead after all. That was just a lie her law enforcement contact Coburn had told them because he thought it best Wade did not know she was still alive. He told her he just figured it was best for you and Wade to tell that story, Griffin said. So Taylor said she can't deal with him anymore, and if he can't be honest. Griffin said he only had one more reason to believe it was Shona after meeting her at the family's holiday get-together. He said Shona glared at them when they walked in, so he thought she was every bit the monster that Taylor made her out to be. He described how the real Shona busted into a room where they were wrapping gifts and ordered them to come out with everyone else. No, hey, hi, I'm Shona. And I was like, wow, this woman is exactly what she portrayed her out to be, apparently. Now Mandy Body was back and threatening their unborn baby, telling Wade Griffin he was not welcome in the family and vowing to put a stop to it. She had already claimed to be behind the failure of the Pecan Point deal and regularly texted Griffin to let him know she knew exactly where he was and what he was doing. It did not occur to Griffin that Parker always knew exactly where he was and what he was doing too, even after his mother pointed that out to him. Not even after a bomb threat to the hospital that Mandy Body predicted in one of her messages come true, hinting Parker would get the blame for it if it happened. Griffin got the message well before Parker allegedly called one in the morning she was supposed to be induced. It was the same morning the house caught fire. Did you think this was getting a little too bizarre? Chris asked. I thought it was odd my house gets caught on fire and then the bomb threat at the same hospital where we were supposed to have the baby. I said, this just don't happen on its own. I told her, I don't understand how all this keeps happening. What is going on here? I ain't never been through something like this in my life. But the bomb threat was real. She showed it to him on Facebook post sharing the news that the hospital has been evacuated to the Civic Center. How or why are you still believing everything she tells you? She's very believable. Anything I questioned, she had an answer for it. I mean, I could come home and be like, what in the world? And she'd be like, well, I'm just going to tell you. She always had an answer for everything. She had an excuse and a way to believe exactly what she was telling me. She had a backup paperwork on all of it. That included a paper trail for the pregnancy, Wade said. She brought home a letter confirming her pregnancy. That's one of the reasons why, even when friends questioned it, that he stood by her. A few people might have said things like, I'm like, man, I'm just telling you, she's dotted her I's, crossed her T's. From the healthcare paperwork and everything makes sense to me. You just might not see the whole picture. He knows now that he was the one not seeing the whole picture. He says he had no idea that Parker's search for a baby intensified after he told her about the anonymous warning he received on September 16th that she was not pregnant and that she was running out of time. His mother tried to warn him the day the bomb threat was called in. They had come over to take showers since the fire knocked out the plumbing at his cabin. While Taylor was in the shower, his mom pulled him aside. I could tell something was wrong. Something was written all over her face. She told him he needed to go back to work. She was worried his job was in jeopardy, yet it had already been 4 or 5 days and there was still no baby. I don't think she's pregnant, Wade. Connie Griffin, his mother, testified last week that her son stormed out of the house when she confronted him that day. But Wade said it gave him enough pause to tell Parker about it when they got back to the house. She's concerned about you not being pregnant, Griffin told Parker. She's not acted this way before. She's pretty concerned about a few things, and I'm on the fence about it. All these people are saying you're not pregnant, but it's getting to the point, and my mom tells me I don't want to not believe my mom. I'm going to lose my job. He's calling every day. Usually when you take off on a FMLA, it's within a day or two. You weren't telling her you go kill somebody and get a baby, Chris asked Griffin on the stand. Absolutely not, not at all. Did you ever think it would come to this? Not in a million years. I never thought this would happen. Griffin said he and Parker had it out that night, and he told her that he would be going back to work and take the time off and come home or meet her at the hospital when the baby came. He said Parker insisted she would show everybody come Friday she was pregnant, and everybody would see she had not been lying this whole time. Chris said Parker was extremely angry with Connie Griffin after that, so she made sure he saw screenshots of her conversations with fake Katie Jo about how terrible he was to believe his mother over her. She even had fake Shona message him to gloat, claiming she was seeing Taylor and Katie Jo's text messages, ripping into Connie and criticizing Wade for listening to her. How's your mom doing? I love how you and your family treat her. They're on my side now. Great job, Wade. I'll clap for you this time. I win every single time. You're thinking this is real? Chris asked Griffin. I don't know what to think. Got my mom telling me one thing, Taylor telling me another, and I've been with Taylor this whole time, so I'm going with her. At this point, with Shona making threats, supposedly following their every move, Griffin did not question Parker's pivot to searching for alternatives to having the baby at a local hospital. She called McCurtain County Medical Center in Idabel and learned that they would not turn anybody down even if they were not a patient there. It was supposedly outside of Shona's reach. After tomorrow, everything's going to be fine, Parker texted herself on an October 8th text as her aunt, Katie Jo. I just want to shove it all in their faces, Parker replied. Earlier in the trial, there were conversations about how Parker fabricated things for Wayne's benefit, and they ended up reading a lot like a diary. Wade said the plan as he knew it was that he and Parker were going to go together to the side-by-side ranch in Wynnewood, Oklahoma on the morning of October 9th. Parker had arranged a hog sale there, and they were going to head out early to make the 4-hour drive. And after that, Griffin said they were going to go to swoop down in Idabel and induce the baby. The day before the supposedly scheduled induction, the couple went to dinner at Osaka's and stopped at O'Reilly's to pick up a plug so he could make sure all the lights on his trailer were working properly for the trip. Parker told him she was going to go visit Reagan at her house, and he worked on his truck. That's when she did that drive-by, right? The next morning, he got up at 3:30, 3:45. He says they planned to leave around 4. She was already up. She told him she'd been cramping all night and could not make the trip. He wanted to stay home with her, worried that she could get into trouble on the way to the hospital if she had to go without him, but she insisted there was just too much money at stake with $6,100 on the line, and they were in debt. She told him she would go get registered and they would meet up at the hospital around lunchtime. Griffin said they also got burner phones, so her mother would not know what they were doing. When he pulled up at the ranch at 7:35, he learned they were not expecting him. I said, am I in the right place? And he said, I don't even know why you're here. I said, well, I've got these text messages. Griffin recalls telling Scott Robinson, who told him, I didn't order no hogs. That's not my phone number. Griffin said he figured he'd been set up, not by Parker, but by her mother, Shona. Who else in the world would do this? He figured her mom was still trying to manipulate their lives, and what better way, Griffin thought, than to set him up with this bogus deal. Knowing it's illegal to cross state lines with livestock, and then get him busted for it. I was like, yeah, this makes sense. Griffin thought he was going to jail. He spoke to Parker at some point while he was still on the ranch trying to salvage the deal, but he said she never indicated to him that anything had gone wrong, and certainly not of the criminal magnitude he would have later learned about. He said he still had no idea what he was walking into when he arrived at the hospital in Idabel early that afternoon. The nurse at the desk did not speak to him when he asked for Parker's room number, but instead just pointed down the hallway. I was like, okay, I'll just find a room. And that's when he saw 3 officers walking towards him. They told me to turn around, put my hands on the wall, and I said, what's going on? And they told him not to ask questions. They handcuffed him and took him to the police station. At that point, he still thought it was about the illegal hog transport. That daggone Shona done called the law, Griffin recalled thinking. Instead, he learned his girlfriend was not pregnant and that she might have been involved with the murder of Reagan Hancock. But even as he made his statement to the officers, he says he still didn't know that all the harassment and the threats he believed he and Parker had been dealing with for months from her mother were fake. I still believed all of it. He said he had no idea Parker was not pregnant and no clue that she had gone over to Reagan Hancock's home that morning and killed her. He also testified he did not know how to carry a scalpel. He did not know her to carry a scalpel in her purse like the one that was found buried in Hancock's neck during her autopsy. You did not want to do this, Crisp noted as Griffin began his testimony, acknowledging his discomfort. He felt to explain how he could have ignored all the warning signs. The soft-spoken 27-year-old remained stoic through more than 5 hours on the stand, but in the end, his pain was unmistakable. You're not perfect, but you did not have anything to do with this, did you? Chris asked. No, ma'am. How has this affected your life? Pretty much ruined my whole reputation, slandered my name, my brothers, my mom. I lost my job over it. Still trying to figure out stuff today. Worst thing I've ever had to live through, for sure. Parker's defense attorney, Jeff Harrelson, spent more than 40 minutes listing red flags Griffin either recognized or at least should have seen. One by one, Griffin acknowledged all of them. He also admitted he was not in love with Parker at any point. But you did like the ideas of tractors, trucks, side-by-sides in this land over there in Oklahoma. It was a dream come true. Taylor wasn't a dream come true, that laugh. And lifestyle was your dream come true, Harrelson said. You had a lot of decisions influenced again and again about that hope of money. On redirect, Chris came back to follow up by noting that Harrison went over a good con artist, what a good con artist Taylor Parker was. So if you identify a red flag, she just doubled down on it. She's great. She's really good at it. She was the best I've ever seen, Griffin said. Probably no shock to you that they're trying to make you look like an idiot, but she manipulated you. You understand that, right? Yes, ma'am. The jury also heard from a woman who was incarcerated at the bi-state jail with Parker in December of 2020. 2 months after Parker's arrest, Shauna Ree Yeager was in for probation violation and working as a trustee at the jail, and she sent a letter to the DA's office in March, telling them Parker had some details about what happened on the morning of the murder. Yeager testified that Parker told her about how she initially tried to use a knife that was in Hancock's home on the morning of the murders to cut the baby out, but found that it was not working the way she wanted it to. Yeager testified that Parker told her she went out to her car to get the scalpel blade she kept in a medical kit in her purse to finish the job. Parker allegedly told Yeager that she placed the baby up against Reagan's cheek and told the baby, "Tell Mama bye." Yeager told the jury Parker said Parker told her she headed to the hospital with the baby so she could get the baby a record of birth. She also told Yeager she pulled over when the baby stopped breathing and did not mention that she stopped because she'd gotten pulled over. She said she tucked the cord into her pants and that EMS crews assumed it was her baby. While Yeager testified she did not receive anything in return for the information provided about this case to the prosecutor's office, Harrelson noted that she sent the letter to the DA's office and she was hoping to have her probation reinstated. Yeager acknowledged that she was hoping to get out with time served on her charges in Bowie County, as well as charges in Cass and Miller County, but she did not hear back from the DA's office until after she served her time. After testimony wrapped up, Parker's defense immediately moved for a directed verdict, essentially asking the judge to throw out the capital murder charge against her. They argued that a fetus that has not been born is not alive under Texas state law and therefore cannot be kidnapped. After testimony wrapped up on Friday, Parker's defense team immediately, I already went to Judge Tidwell denied that request, and the defense rested its case without bringing a single witness. Taylor Parker confirmed that she has been informed of her right to testimony and she has declined to take the stand. Her mother, who featured prominently as one of Parker's fake personas, is on the witness list for the state, but did not take the stand during the guilt or innocence phase of the trial. A lot more in there, huh? Hi, Murder of Crows. How are you? Hi, Kubi. Let's see. She's crazy, So what do you guys think about all this? Do you think does anybody think that Wade knew anything more? Like, why would Wade, let's put it this way, why would Wade go along with this if he thought this was fake and he didn't love her, he wasn't attracted to her? Why would he go along with this? Because of the money, you think? But if he thought the baby was fake and does anybody think he knew about this? Let's see. B-Lady says, "Night, everyone. Long day, and I'm tired. And I will watch what I miss." Okay, B-Lady, you have a good rest. Who is crazier, Wade or his woman? Debbie, you think Wade knew about the fake pregnancy? Do you think he knew? Hi, Angel Eyes. You're the olive oil lady? Angel Eyes, you're the olive oil lady? Have a good night and take care, B-Lady. Hi, Angel Eyes. Would have taken over sooner if... His anger would have taken over sooner if he'd known. So you think he didn't know? Okay. He sounds kind of dull. Okay. High Speed says, I still don't know why the bank gave them money. Well, they're probably in a small town and need them, but can you believe the guy went in there to cash an $8 million check? Can you even believe that? Angel Eyes, are you the one that ordered all the olive oil from that place I showed? I know it was like Angel or something. I'm going crazy. I can't remember the lady's name now. Thought it was Angel Eyes. Angel Eyes said he what? Oh, hi, Crows. Oh, you're not the olive oil lady? Will the olive oil lady please come back in here and tell me about the olive oil, please? I'm going crazy trying to remember who the olive oil... I know it's driving me nuts. I'm wearing a fake stomach to a real doctor. Yeah, did he go to the doctor, though, with her? Did he? Come on. There's no way that happened. There's no way. Come on. Unless she knew somebody in that doctor's office and they just called her into a room and she never saw a doctor. Come on. I don't know. It's so crazy, right? Okay, let's keep going and see because what's going on this trial. It's really nuts, huh? All right. Don't get the hiccups now, please. You can't. Taylor Parker. Okay. I'm getting some more information from what was going on at the trial. Okay. After 12 days of testimony, and there's only 12 days, right? It's crazy. And 66 witnesses, closing arguments are expected to get underway. Let's see. The jury heard from the doctor who had confirmed Parker had not given birth. They saw photos of Parker's bloodied hands and feet on the day of her arrest. They also heard her explanations to police about what happened, and they heard testimony about DNA evidence that indicated none of the blood samples taken at the scene or from items in her car contained her DNA, but it did match up with Reagan Hancock and her baby Braxton. By the end of week 3, they also heard from her ex-boyfriend, Wade Griffin, as well as a former fellow inmate of Parker's who testified to details that Parker told her about how she cut that baby out of Reagan's belly and what she did afterwards. Okay. Then on Monday, the jurors reviewed the bruised body and bloodied hands photos following her arrest on the day of her murder. They also heard from the 2 nurses who tried to check her for post-labor bleeding at the hospital but could not find her uterus, and the doctor who confirmed after a vaginal exam that she did not give birth. No. Okay, 1 minute. Let's see what we have here. Most of Monday's testimony was taken up by an expert in call detail records and geolocation. That was Berkelio. Let's go to the interrogations here. Jurors watched videos of Parker's interviews with the police. In those interviews, Parker claimed Reagan was badly hurt, and when they got into a violent physical confrontation and that Reagan begged her to take the baby because she was afraid she was dying. She was screaming, "Take her out! Take the baby out!" Parker said to Texas Ranger Josh Mason, who led the investigation and conducted the interviews. She said, "I'm finished. I'm dying. She was talking to me and she just begged me. She said, 'You can have her. Just take her.'" In one version of events, Parker even claimed that Hancock grabbed the scalpel herself. "It's not believable at all," said Mason. He testified that Parker told wildly different stories over the course of 5 hours in 2 separate interviews. The first one was on the day of her arrest. The other one was 5 days later, when Parker was extradited back to Texas from Oklahoma, and after an autopsy raised even more questions for investigators. When Parker initially claimed she did not remember bringing a knife to Hancock's house, she eventually admitted to using a scalpel from a medical kit she carried in her purse on the days when they went hog hunting. She said she was pretty 100% positive that she put it down after removing Hancock's baby from its sack. Parker asked for proof when Mason told her it had been recovered from Hancock's neck during her autopsy. "Can you show me that 100%? "I don't have to show you. I'm telling you." Hold on a second. I just lost my thing. "I'm telling you," Mason told Parker. "We didn't find this scalpel in the house. It was found in her body, in her neck. Please explain." Let's see. "The last time I used it when we were doing the baby deal. I didn't touch her neck with that scalpel." The autopsy report found that there were over 100 sharp force wounds on Hancock's body, dozens of them on her head and neck alone. Parker told investigators she left the house around 7 a.m. on the day of the murders and went to McDonald's for a coffee and a hash brown. Coffee and a hash brown, that would, let's see. Coffee and a hash brown? Yeah. Not going to get the pancakes and sausage. That would be coffee and a hash brown. After that, she went next door to the Easy Mart and got some gas. She said she took her boyfriend's Wade Griffin's Toyota Corolla because it got better gas mileage than her car. And come on, she's always thinking of how to save money. Then she claimed she started to get a really bad headache on her way home and pulled over in the parking lot of a church on Highway 8. She said she was alone and that her seat was tilted all the way back like she was going to go to sleep. She claimed to not remember how she got there. "I thought it was a little weird. I was sitting in that parking lot," she told the investigators. Hold on a sec. Okay. She claimed she only went to Hancock's house that morning because she insisted. "Reagan was calling me. She told me she was worried about me from the night before. Come over, take a shower. I told her I didn't want that. I just needed to be by myself. I got off the phone with her. She called me back and told me, 'Come over there.' She asked me where I was, and I told her I was in New Boston." Parker cried as she told investigators, "I don't know. I just had a really bad feeling. I just didn't need to get around her." "What did you talk about?" Mason asked. "She just told me to come. I said I'd just take a shower and lay down there for a few hours, and she said, 'No, we need to talk,' so I drove over there." Reagan was scheduled for a final 9 a.m. shift at Flying Burger before beginning maternity leave that morning and needed to take Kinley to daycare first. First Assistant Director Attorney Kelly Crisp asked Mason on the stand whether it made sense that Reagan would be inviting Taylor over to talk at this time of the morning, and Mason said it did not. Parker claimed that she got to the house on Austin Street and there was a confrontation in the garage. She was talking, and it was kind of like I'd grab my head because my head was pounding. And she told me You need to lie down and sleep because you're not sleeping. And she grabbed me, just in a caring manner, and that's when she scratched me, Parker told Mason in one interview, and it was some kind of going in and out, not knowing what was going on and what wasn't, and she kept hollering at me. She appeared to sob at times as she described what happened next. I told her I needed to get away from here. She wouldn't let me. She shut the garage door. Parker said she pushed Hancock, causing her to hit her head on the car and fall to the garage floor. What prompted that, Mason said. She was shaking me and I was already out of my effing mind. I knew something bad was going to happen. It was like when I shoved her down, everything changed. Mason testified that it was difficult to get a straight answer out of Parker as they tried to understand how the fight moved from the garage into the house and what happened in between. And at one point, Parker said they were chatting while Reagan did her hair in the bathroom, telling her she was running late, texting her husband Homer, and talking about trouble in their marriage. But she said the two also fought in the living room when Taylor again tried to leave. What do you remember? Mason asked Parker. I remember her having to hold me and screaming at me. What did she say? That I wasn't right? That I wasn't Taylor? Well, what happened? Mason asked. I remember pushing her off me and she grabbed my hair and hit me and said, "You need to wake up." How did she hit you? I think with her hand. I don't think she had anything, and I instantly... At this point in the interview, Parker pauses and appears to break down in tears, and she holds her hand over her mouth, and she eventually described wailing on Hancock, although she told several conflicting stories about exactly how the fight played out, but she claimed that Hancock was the first to get physical and that she fought back as she tried to get away. I remember there being blood everywhere. There was blood on her face and blood on my face and then just blood everywhere. Parker also claimed that Hancock was the one who pulled a knife from the kitchen drawer and poked her with it, and later grabbed a mason jar from her wedding and bashed her over the head with it. No such knife was found at the scene, and according to an officer who booked Parker into the Idabel City Jail on the day of her arrest, she only had one scratch on her chest and no serious injuries. Despite being able to detail a vicious fight with Hancock, Parker initially had little to say about exactly how she removed the baby from her body. I remember taking her out, I know that. What do you mean? Mason asked. That was the only way to get her out. Okay, how did you do that? I had to cut her out. McCurtain County obstetrician Dr. William Herron testified Monday that kind of pain a person would suffer during a cesarean without an anesthetic would be excruciating. Yet Parker claimed Hancock continued to converse with her after the baby was removed from her womb, telling her to go and get help for the baby when she was told she was not breathing. Parker also claimed Hancock was alive when she left the house. Mason confirmed that Parker did not call 911 until she was pulled over in DeKalb. Parker appeared to sob at times as Mason and Bowie County Sheriff's Office investigator Weston Fannin questioned her. Her voice grew loud and more argumentative in response to some questions, noticeably higher in pitch in response to others. She took long pauses, whispered, or changed the subject in response to difficult questions. Mason testified that body language and behavior can be telling in suspect interviews. Words tell you a story, but how someone says something, it can also mean something. Nonverbal clues, whether they're looking at me, looking away, the pitch in their voice changes. Parker scoffed at some questions and even laughed as she tried to get the investigators to tell her what they know. But Parker was not laughing when the investigator honed in on what Parker's intent was that day. Your intent was what? wanting a baby. Your intent was wanting her baby, right? You made sure that hospital in Idabel would take you. Wade was going out of town. You sat in that church parking lot contemplating whether that was the right thing to do or not. You had a scalpel. Nobody does that. Your intent was wanting a baby, right or wrong? Parker sat silenced with her left hand on her face and her right hand draped across her stomach. You went to the house intending on leaving with a baby, was it not? I wanted a baby. I've been wanting a newborn for months. When did you decide that she had what you needed? I already thought I told you what my intent was. You can't tell me she asked you to take her baby and expect me to believe that. I swear! But Mason believes Parker did not go to Reagan's house that day just to visit a friend. She has been looking for a target prior to this date, and I wanted to know when she decided that this was her target, Mason said. You took her family pictures, her 3-year-old daughter. This lady trusted you to let her in the house. You went in her house with a diaper bag and a scalpel. The things you needed for the baby. You had Wade arranged to go out of town. You got your baby. Wade believed you. You proved all these people that you were lying for the last 10 months, and you had your aha moment at the expense of that. Vanini appeared to be gesturing towards an autopsy photo on the desk in the interview room as he emphasized that. You had your I proved you all wrong moment. Parker sat still with the back of her hand under her chin, looking down. The clock in the interview room was the only sound for several seconds. And then she crossed her arms after a long pause, whispered something so quietly that they had to play it before the court before Mason relayed what it was. Can I go to the bathroom, please? Her attempt to change the subject, probably, Mason said. During the interviews, Parker vehemently denied calling in the bomb threat to the hospital and started the fire under Wade's cabin in the week leading up to the murder in order to avoid induction appointments she knew she couldn't keep. She also denied taking Hancock's cell phone from the house and disposing of it along with the other items police say they never found. Those items include the fake baby belly, the shirt, and the sandals Parker was seen wearing in the surveillance video at the Easy Mart just a couple of hours before the murder. Parker also told investigators that Wayne did not know that she was not pregnant until after the arrest, and repeatedly she said she acted alone. Hancock's 3-year-old daughter witnessed the bloody scene. Parker told investigators she told the crying toddler to go back to her room. Okay. So let's see. I think we're going to have to finish the closing arguments and everything tomorrow, and then the other stuff, because I'm getting sleepy. That swimming, it doesn't feel like anything, but then it knocks you out. Okay, let me see. Where's my... I need to... Okay, here we go. All right, so... Murder of Crows, are we ready to do this word game? I think so, right? We gotta... Hello, Heart Made Wise. How are you? How are you? Okay. You were getting sleepy listening? Oh my goodness. Yes, you can go back to your bubble bath and your movie video. Okay, let's go to this. You're kind of wobbly. You're kind of wobbly. Why are you kind of wobbly? How come you're wobbly? Swerve, swerves. Good night, high speed. Have a good night. Stay cool. Get some ice. Go get a bag of ice. You need some ice. You need ice. High speed. You need it. You need it. Getting over a viral something? Oh no. Well, I hope you feel better, heart. That's not fun. Ever. Very good. Sows. Yep, very good. What else? You're struggling with the AC mini split. It goes ice cold to warm. Oh no. That's not good. Not good. It works, but when it cools outside, I have to adjust it. Video Reel says he has the fix, high speed. Video Reel's got the fix. Eves, good guys, okay. Serve and serves. I thought I did it. I didn't do that? Oh my gosh. Very good. Clean off the front AC with nails. Clean off the front AC with nails? What does that mean? How can you clean with nails? Okay, what's this last one here? Sewer. Oh, I did sewers and not sewers. Oh my goodness. Very good. We did it. We did it. What are you talking about? How are you cleaning with nails? How are you cleaning with nails, Video Reel? Video Reel. How are you cleaning? Honey, da na 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 na. Oh, honey, honey. You clean off the final. It cooks the room. High Speed, are you listening? High Speed, are you here? High Speed, are you here? Are you sleeping? Are you sleeping, Brother John? Brother John. Da, 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 da. There you are, High Speed. High Speed is here. And High Speed said, I clean the AC inside and out. He cleaned the AC inside and out. Inside and out. Oh, very good. Tell me, tell me. Very good. Weed. Oh, yeah, weed. I already found it, it says. But Wheaties there. Oh, my goodness. Hurry up. Is there any more instructions for High Speed? Because I am falling asleep in my chair and I don't... I don't know. High Speed. Please answer, High Speed, please. I gotta go to bed, guys. I'm gonna say goodnight. Thank you all so much for hanging with me. Thank you for watching on the replay. Thank you for watching now. Thank you for watching later. Thank you for hitting the likes. Thank you for sharing with your friends and family and telling them what a great community we have here. And then also thank you to the moderators, and thank you to the viewers and everybody that helps with the channel. We appreciate you so much. So grateful for you. I love you guys. Prayers for all that need them, and everybody needs them. I love you guys. So be good. Have a good night. Thank you for everything. See you tomorrow. Good night now. Good night. Honeydew, hi, Ivy Speed. Welcome in, Ivy Speed. Honeydew. Oh, honeydew. Honeydew like the melon. Very good, Ivy Speed. Thank you for speeding in here. Hi, Angel Eyes. You have a good night, Angel Eyes, even though you're not the olive oil lady. We still love you. Have a good night. God bless. Love and light. Everything else. See you tomorrow. Sweet dreams.